The government is shut down, and it's costing Americans big time. Millions are feeling the pinch. But the real danger lies in how this political tug-of-war could weaken our national security. Stay tuned as we break down the latest developments in this unprecedented standoff. Just 33 minutes ago, House Speaker Mike Johnson made a key statement to reporters, indicating that if the Senate approves a bill to compensate federal workers and military personnel who've been on the job during the shutdown, he'd reconvene the House for action. He put it simply, the ball would be back in our court. However, he expressed skepticism about the bill's chances in the Senate, despite Republican leaders there planning to introduce it this week. I don't have any faith that they're going to pass it, though, Johnson remarked. I think that they're going to continue to play games. For those new to this, a government shutdown means non-essential federal services halt. Workers go unfunded, and it creates chaos across agencies. Think closed parks, delayed benefits, and strained operations. And this is the part most people miss, the personal connections behind the politics. 35 minutes ago, it was revealed that Johnson is scheduled to meet with President Trump later today in the Oval Office. He shared this with CBS News, noting that Trump is also welcoming Louisiana State University's championship baseball team to the White House. Johnson mentioned that he'd already spoken with the president earlier this morning, hinting at ongoing discussions to navigate the crisis. Shifting to a more alarming angle, 57 minutes ago, Johnson addressed concerns about potential staff reductions at the agency responsible for overseeing America's nuclear weapons stockpile. When questioned about the National Nuclear Security Administration's plans to furlough a significant portion of its workforce due to the funding gap, as detailed in a related CBS News report, the speaker described the situation as very serious. He recounted a recent conversation with former Representative Brandon Williams, who now serves as Undersecretary for Nuclear Security at the Energy Department. Williams emphasized the gravity of the issue for national defense. Every day that the government is shut down, it is a danger to the American people, Johnson stated firmly. We are in a nuclear arms race with adversaries right now. It can't be any more serious than this. He went on to stress that America is the last great superpower on the planet, but we have to maintain that status. To clarify for beginners, this agency ensures the safety and reliability of our nuclear arsenal through advanced science and technology. Furloughing 80% of staff could mean delays in maintenance, potentially exposing vulnerabilities in a tense global landscape. But here's where it gets controversial. Johnson didn't hold back in criticizing Democrats for turning the shutdown into a political spectacle. At 10:29 a.m., during a press conference with GOP leaders and the House Freedom Caucus at the Capitol, Johnson lashed out at Democrats for what he called publicity stunts, especially following the No Kings protests covered in another CBS News piece that protested Trump's policies. He argued that now that those events are over, it's time for Democrats to come to their senses and reopen the government. Johnson claimed the shutdown is solely about Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's political survival, accusing him of prioritizing showmanship. This has always been about the spectacle, he said. He highlighted that this is the longest full government shutdown in modern history, outpacing previous ones that only impacted partial operations. The Democrats are making some very costly history here, he noted, and called their opposition to a straightforward funding bill the most costly, most selfish, most dangerous political stunt in the history of the United States Congress, adding that they have zero shame about this. This bold accusation could spark debate. Is this truly a stunt or a principled stand on health care? What do you think? Are Democrats being selfish, or are they fighting for essential protections? Looking ahead, at 9:44 a.m., information was provided on the upcoming Senate activities. The Senate is set to reconvene at 3 p.m., with a procedural vote on the House-approved funding bill scheduled for 5:30 p.m., based on an announcement from Majority Whip John Barrasso's office. This will be the 11th attempt to pass the measure. Meanwhile, updated at 8:55 a.m. Senate Republicans are slated to attend a White House lunch with President Trump on Tuesday, confirmed by two sources to CBS News. The event, likely in the Rose Garden, was initially reported by Punchbowl News. And this is the part most people miss: the deep cuts looming at our nuclear agency, which could have ripple effects far beyond politics. Also updated at 8:55 a.m., House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers warned last Friday that the National Nuclear Security Administration is preparing for significant staff reductions amid the ongoing shutdown. With more on the 17-day shutdown in a separate CBS News live update. Rogers informed lawmakers on Thursday that the carryover funds keeping the agency fully operational are nearly depleted. He told reporters they will have to lay off 80% of their employees, though his office clarified these are furloughs, not permanent layoffs. These are not employees that you want to go home. They're managing and handling a very important strategic asset for us. They need to be at work and being paid. As part of the Department of Energy, the NNSA's mission, per its website, is to ensure the United States maintains a safe, secure, and reliable nuclear stockpile. Through the application of unparalleled science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing. The agency's notice to Rogers indicated that salary and expense funds would run out on October 18th, leading to furloughs for about 1,400 employees, while 375 would continue critical work. This highlights the real-world impact. Updated at 8:55 a.m., Sanders, the Vermont Independent, appeared on CBS Mornings and argued that a mere vote on Democrats' healthcare priorities isn't sufficient to end the shutdown. He voiced deep concern over the broken and dysfunctional healthcare system, pointing to rising insurance premiums without extensions of Affordable Care Act tax credits and the harm from Medicaid cuts in Trump's big, beautiful bill, which he claimed could lead to thousands of preventable deaths. Sanders dismissed Senate Majority Leader John Thune's offer for a tax credit vote as ineffective, noting that even if passed in the Senate, a presidential veto or House inaction could block it. You know what's going on right now in the House? The Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson, has given his people a 5-week vacation. They're not even in Washington, D.C., Sanders quipped. He insisted on guarantees before funding a bill that might cause 50,000 unnecessary deaths. Sanders labeled the GOP's refusal to negotiate until the government reopens as unprecedented, emphasizing that with only 53 Republicans, they need Democratic support and thus must negotiate. You know how much negotiations they've done? 0, he said. Our way or the highway. For beginners, this underscores negotiation in Congress. Parties must compromise, especially in divided chambers, to pass bills. Here, Democrats want healthcare assurances tied to funding, while Republicans push for clean reopenings. Moving to procedural updates, also at 8:55 a.m., the Senate is gearing up for another vote on Monday afternoon, likely in the evening, on the House-passed bill to fund the government through November 21st. This 11th effort requires 60 votes to proceed, and with 53 Republicans, Democratic backing is essential. While Republicans hoped repeat votes would sway more Democrats, no new cross-aisle support has emerged since the shutdown started. Democratic Senators John Fetterman, Pennsylvania, and Catherine Cortez Masto, Nevada, plus Independent Senator Angus King, Maine caucusing with Democrats, have backed the bill, while GOP Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky, has opposed it. Last week, Thune tried an alternative with a Pentagon funding bill, but Democrats blocked it. This week, he plans to introduce a bill for back pay to federal and military workers, again needing Democratic votes. And this is the part most people miss: optimism from across the aisle that this could end soon. Updated at 8:55 a.m., Arizona Democrat Senator Mark Kelly stated on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan that lawmakers could resolve the shutdown and reopen government this week if Republicans negotiate on healthcare subsidies. We should be able to wrap this up this week if they will sit down and have a negotiation with us, he urged. Conversely, Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt called on Democrats to do the right thing by reopening first. For more, see the linked CBS News article. Finally, updated at 8:55 a.m., the judicial branch announced late last week that starting Monday, it lacks funds for full operations due to the shutdown. Federal judges will remain active, but court staff will limit activities to legally mandated ones, such as constitutional duties, life safety tasks, and property protection, performed unpaid during the lapse. Non-essential staff will be furloughed. Until the ongoing lapse in government funding is resolved, federal courts will maintain limited operations necessary to perform the judiciary's constitutional functions, the branch stated. This means delays in civil cases, probation hearings, and more, affecting everyday justice for Americans. What do you think? Is the shutdown a necessary fight for healthcare, or an unnecessary risk to our nation's security and economy? Do you agree with Johnson's critique of Democrats as self-serving, or Sanders' call for negotiations? Share your controversial takes in the comments. Let's discuss. By Stephen Beckett, Patrick McGuire, Melissa Quinn.